Roseville Airport Commerce Park Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Rathel, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2 is roll call. Mr. Moran is here. Mr. Rathel?
Here.
Mr. Van Oz? Mr. Tenova is excused. Mr. Mans?
Here.
Mr. Hornby?
Here.
Mr. Filarski? Item number 3 is additions or deletions to the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rathel, supported by Mr. Mans to approve the agenda as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of November 13th, 2019, and I have a couple corrections before we make the motion. On the last page, under the comments for Mr. Van Oz, the last word in the first line should say willing. It should say the township, and he would be willing to step aside if the commission wanted a different liaison. So with those corrections, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair,
Mr. Rathel.
I have a correction as well, or at least a comment on this. Under a Rathel comment just above the Van Oss, it says, Rathel refused to make a motion or approve a lease until liaison. So I don't know if that's in the context of everybody refused to move that that item, why I'm singled out as the one that is refusing to make that. Nobody did. Or is there another context that is put in there?
Well, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but John was the one that stated that.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Rathel first refused to make in favor of a motion until the liaison became on board. Then I put the in bold note there, no one made a motion to approve the action item, so it was tabled at the end, basically showing that it followed along. I mean, I can try to show that a different way if you guys prefer, however you want to correct those, but reviewing the videotape, Mr. Rathel was the first one to make a comment on that.
Mike, we need to make a correction. There was no motion to table. The motion just died for lack of support, so it should just say no one made a motion to approve the action item, period, because there was not a motion to table.
So just because I actually verbalized it doesn't mean that I should be singled out in the minutes here, because everybody, by not making a motion, they did exactly what I actually said. I wasn't willing to move it. No one was willing to move it because nobody did.
Sure.
Am I?
No, you were the one that verbalized it, and that's what the minutes reflect is what is verbalized. No one made a motion, but no one said, I'm not making a motion. You're the only one that
Well, why
made
would you
that.
put that in the minutes? Because I said it, you didn't, but you didn't move it. I didn't move it, but I said I wasn't gonna move it. To me, it's, it's like, it makes it look like that, you know, that this thing didn't move forward because I said it, or why are you pointing out in the minutes that I verbalized I wasn't gonna move it? Everyone had the same opportunity to move it. They didn't. I didn't. I just said I'm not going to. I don't think that's something that needs to go in the minutes.
Okay.
Unless there's another.
If I can, I'd recommend, I'll go back and talk with, I mean, the minutes are supposed to summarize motions and votes of the meeting, so I'm not sure that needs to be in there. I will go back and discuss with the deputy clerk at the township, who has more of an expertise in the minutes, and see what does or does not need to be in there, and I can report back. So
Since
if you
we have a
wanna-
number of changes.
Yeah, if you want
entertain
to
a
table it
motion
maybe
to
till the next
table.
meeting, we can re-review it there.
Right.
I'll update those.
But did we address? I think we did. No one made a motion, which should be in there, right? That's
Correct, that's in there.
It's in there.
But it wasn't tabled. It just died. That motion
Correct.
just
I will
died,
make that,
right?
I'll make that amendment.
It wasn't tabled. I'll entertain a motion to table the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rathel. I need support. Supported by Mr. Hornby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 5 is the financial report for November 2019. Everyone should have their financial report in their packet. Our revenue budgeted for the year is $887,036. Our year-to-date revenue is $625,406, which equals 70% of our budgeted revenue. Our expenditures for the year are budgeted at $887,035. Our year-to-date encumbrances and expenditures are $796,426, which equals 90% of our budgeted expenditures. Our general reserves as of the end of November are $429,988. And our past due summary, our past due rent summary as of December 9th is $3,748. Mike, you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I should have this broken out better at the next meeting. I'm still kind of waiting for the billing cycles and everything to get in order, but you'll see on the expenditures under Commerce Park, the minus $190,000 debit there. That's still for our construction project. So, we need to do a journal entry to balance that out still. So obviously the expenditures are showing high. That's part of our build out in the Commerce Park. That $200,000 was for Building 6162. We just completed the construction, which I'll update you on next, on Building 63, so we'll have another round of funds coming for that. That will, if you recall, the part of this was coming from our expenditures, about $200,000, and the rest were coming from an internal loan for the township. So the capital reserves are about right, but reflected in the budget, it needs to get that adjustment from our capital reserve. So I should have that better shown at the next meeting. I'll try to do a better breakout there for you. Couple other notes. The fuel inventory, Jet A, we currently have $10,989. The 100 low lead, $12,004. So both those are kind of getting lower. We'll probably top those off here coming into the winter months to keep the tanks filled up. And then past due rent summary. We'll probably end up writing off the Marshall and Russman accounts. Those have been with us for a while, and the tenants have been gone for a bit. As we wind down our fiscal year, I'll look at that. Tomasic is on a payment plan that is on track. Stanley and Associates actually came in and gave a check for the $13.15 today. They still have 1 month past due, but stated they'd get that caught up by the end of the week. So past due is getting worked down as we're going into the new year here. Hopefully that number will be even lower at the next meeting.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rathel.
Mike, explain to me again, so when we look at our expenditures, we have $190,268 that I know you need to make that adjustment and that correction, but we've already taken a couple $100,000 out of our capital reserve for our project.
Right.
So are you planning on adjusting our expenditures out of that column like 100,000? How much are you going to adjust that?
The bill was for like 200,000. The capital reserves are that. So I mean, we're going to get caught up basically more too as the revenues build, because that expenditure is not going to keep going. But I'll have to see what Ann wants to do.
Because I thought that we really approved $300,000 from our
Right.
capital reserves expenditures.
Right.
And
So
this is showing that it's like 400,000.
So the township, that was the other comment, was that the township is waiting for some of their funds to come in for the loan. So they're going to continue to use our capital reserves, and they'll back fund it, I guess, once the tax revenues come in to do that, is what the finance department's telling me.
Waiting for tax returns. We haven't got this year's payment on our tax returns.
They only get paid once a year.
Tax returns come in, this will all even out.
So who's keeping that accounting? Because it's not here.
Ann is in-house, and I'm watching it, but that's what I'm saying. For the next meeting, I'll have a better breakdown for you, because we're kind of in between bills right now with the contractor.
Should be listed here.
Understood.
No, yeah, I would like to see at least footnoted, because the way it looks here is that we spent a lot more money out of our capital reserves and expenditures, for the project than what was approved.
Yep.
We just didn't want to sell a bond or a CD.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Any other questions for Mike? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn, or to approve the financial report.
Sorry, guys, but we're out of here.
Are you making a motion, Mike? Motion by Mr. Mans,
Support.
support by Mr. Van Oz. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 6 is the manager's report. Item 6A is the Building 63 subdivide update. Mike?
Good news, we're at the light at the end of the tunnel. All 8 units had their final inspections this past Saturday and everything passed. So the tenants have been given the keys. We've got, I need to get 2 more leases signed and executed, but the start date is the 15th. So we've been collecting first month's rent, and the revenue's starting to come in, and the tenants are taking ownership of the facilities or their units. So they're it's exciting right now. Some of them are looking at how to kind of customize and finish the floors off, put their own finishing touches on it. Some of them will be looking at bathrooms, and I'll keep tabs on that. Just the price that our contractor gave us to finish the bathrooms, I was trying to help them with in-house, was, in my opinion, high. So they'll be responsible to pull a permit and finish their own bathrooms if they choose to do so. But we provided the plumbing and everything stub for them if they want to do that. So it's good. The other 2 units that we approved, the demo has started there. The man doors have been cut in, and some of the other demo work has taken place. So good to start seeing some activity at the facility. So we have some finishing stuff that'll probably have to happen in the spring. I'll be looking at some minor asphalt repairs. I know I've talked to some of you guys about looking at removing the one road that goes into that facility on the north side up until where the driveways are. And then we have some minor asphalt repairs to do in the lot on a few of the approaches in there. So that's just going to have to wait till spring. The asphalt plants are shut down now. Very minor. They're not going to affect the tenants or the units until spring. So that's it.
Mike, there was an item that was a discussion item last month where there was the cost of finishing those last 2 units.
Yes.
And we had gotten a price that it was, we had approved amount not to exceed 160. Can you give us an update on that?
Yep, it was about $142,000 to complete the 2 units, and I provided, I think you guys all received that, the itemized breakdown from the contractor. So it came in under the not to exceed number, and in my opinion, was a fair price. The unit price was on track.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rathel?
Also, we talked about signage, and I don't know, Ron, were you jumping on that, or what did we decide? Now
Well,
that they're moving in.
We had talked about naming that building,
Right.
giving it a name instead of just building number 63. Is that?
Right, the direction, we came up with the name or several name ideas for the building, but we were talking about going back and renaming. The direction was to look at renaming all of the buildings in the Commerce Park, so we're still tinkering with that.
Well, I'm talking more about the individual
Signage, yeah.
companies that are leasing. Are they putting signs up, or what?
Not yet. I told them that we're going to have to finalize some kind of regulation on that. The one tenant over there is a sign and decal manufacturer, so I'm wondering if I approached him and just said, I don't know if you'd be interested in giving a deal, and maybe we come up with a dimension for all the units, and they can make their own sign within that dimension above the unit. That's my goal right now, is to get that wrapped up probably in the next month or so.
So you'll come back to us at the next meeting with a recommendation?
Yep.
Any questions for Mike on the update on Building 63? Mr. Van Oz?
What's the status with the last 2 units at rental?
Demo has started. The man doors have been cut in, and some of the interior wall work has been done.
How about the contract?
The contract has not been signed. Well, I have to go back and look. I don't believe we've executed the contract with that. We gave them the verbal go-ahead.
Can it be an amendment?
That particular issue was never resolved at the last meeting. I think we should resolve that issue.
The issue I was aware of at the last meeting was the breakdown in pricing. That has been, the quote and all that has been.
I mean, the actual approval of the tenant did not go through. If I'm correct, that's the issue.
Oh, the tenant, yes.
We're talking about there, and I think that needs to be done.
That is correct.
We've run into some issues with that potential tenant in collecting a deposit, so we're looking at breaking it up into singles, changing the direction, at least with the bathrooms. The build out of the units and the demolition and everything is the same, but I'm dealing with one interested party now, and we have another 1 or 2 that are soft, so that lease is not ready, I would say, at this point, to pull it back. I thought it was ready at the last meeting. We didn't have the deposit, so we decided to table it, and the deposit hasn't been delivered. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the contract for the construction. That has been received from the contractor and approved.
All right.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6B, which is the Army Corps of Engineer project update.
Just a real brief update on this. The Corps is wrapping up all of their testing on the airport. If you recall, at the two previous meetings, there were 3 locations that they were going to be doing some testing. One was by the old the old seaplane base. They were unable to do that. The location was on the shoreline. With how high the water level is, there's no way they're getting soil samples out from underneath the water. So that one's been closed out. The other one was the old missile site. They've taken some dirt and soil samples there. Preliminary stuff. I didn't see anything that was concerning. If you recall, the main issue was at our Hangar 2 facility and doing some groundwater sampling. They've tested all that, and it's what we've seen in the past. The indoor air quality samples are all meeting standards. There's no immediate concerns. Obviously, that's something we keep a close eye on with tenants and people working daily in the facility. We want to make sure we're providing a safe environment, or the Army Corps is providing and ensuring a safe environment left behind from the Navy. The groundwater samples are exceeding limitations, but again, that's not coming up into the air vapor. So that's something that it's preliminary. They haven't finalized the results. They'll be doing that, and I think at the next meeting or 2, you should have some final data for me to give to you on their results, and then what their plans are for either continuing investigation or remediation.
Thanks, Mike. Any questions for Mike? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 7, which is our action items. Item number 7A is the Island Stowaway Sale / Pirates Cove land lease. And before we take any action on that item, I think we have a presentation, Mike, and
Yep.
discussion. So I will turn it over to you. And
Sure. I'd like to welcome up Brandon from Pirates Cove. At this point, and correct me anytime if I'm wrong, I think they have Island Stowaway and Pirates Cove have a purchase agreement in place. It's not finalized. I think Pirates Cove has expressed interest in, as you guys are aware, expanding further into our Commerce Park all the way to Grow Road, which you'll see here in a little bit. The deal is it's hinging on that. I mean, obviously Pirates Cove wants to do the expansion and get some kind of assurance that we're in favor of doing that. You know, there's several variables, which I think we'll go into as this presentation goes on, and I can kind of touch base on. But Brandon, I think, representing Pirates Cove, is trying to get some kind of assurance that we're at least in favor of the terms and conditions for the land lease to do that, pending the other variables. The other variables being environmental. I mean, this is, we're talking about some old fields here that used to have Navy buildings on them. We know there's some steam tunnels that'll need to get remediated. That's definitely something I think we could use our brownfield funds to at least do a phase 1 and or 2 investigation on, and then possibly some remediation. That's definitely available to the airport, and you all sit on that commission as well. Other things that would be pending: planning commission review through the township, Wayne County permits, because there's a driveway that comes off of Grow Road, as well as retention pond stuff. So I guess what I'm getting at is there's a lot of moving parts and pieces to this deal, but I think Pirates Cove is trying to get some assurances that we're at least interested in the term and the rates, pending what I just discussed. So with that, to try to give you an idea of what Pirates Cove is looking to do in their expansion, I'll turn it over to Brandon if you want to introduce yourself, and then kind of maybe walk through the yard layout that you are proposing, and we have some renderings in front of us as well.
And before he gets into the explanation of that, if you could give us a little background of the company, give us a little overview of sort of who you are and
Yeah.
what you've done.
Yeah, my name's Brandon Vargo. I'm here representing Pirates Cove. Pirates Cove actually is the under company of Vancouver Management, Inc. So we made that company 10, 12 years ago when we started purchasing and building storage facilities throughout Michigan. It's my uncle is the one who made it and got me involved to actually manage and part own all of the properties here in our Michigan area. So we have 10 of them currently. So from Ann Arbor, Pinckney, Howell, all the way up to Midland, all the way west to Battle Creek. Riverview right over here is called Pirates Cove, directly across from the high school. If any of you guys drive by that area, we have one in Flat Rock, one in Monroe. So kind of spread out all over the place. They're a little bit different. The top picture on your pamphlet is Pirates Cove in Ann Arbor. That is the first facility that we actually purchased and our construction crew built from the ground up. So everything there has been built since 2002. 2002 was the first phase, and then we've kind of all took off since. So the second one, if you're looking at it, is one that we kind of did additions onto. So the office we redid. The back left-hand corner is all RV giant buildings that we would be kind of utilizing here as well, up and down Midway. We're hoping to put 15 by 52 long or 15 by 38, so kind of a little bit different sizes, but for RVs and boats, things like that. Not the same thing that you guys are doing over at the other facility with the 2,000 square foot. We generally don't have people work out of any of the stuff that we have. It's more storage. I mean, that's the name of the game with us. You know, we don't put things inside so people can utilize them to actually run a business out of them. Any questions about any of the pictures? Most of them are going to be kind of, you know, an overhead facility view of what we have done. And then the last two are a little bit closer up so you can see a little bit better personality of the facilities.
Give us an idea how
yeah.
many units are in each one of these, or
Yeah.
general idea?
So the first one that you're looking at and the second one both have roughly around 1,000 units. So in comparison, you know, their current facility has, you know, mid 200s between RV and actual units. So we're looking to add 600-700 more. And that's not only units, it's going to be RV parking as well, boat parking as well. We'd like to up and down Midway and grow, put all the units there, and then kind of behind hide the RVs and boats with potential of, depending on how, you know, how many people we see come in here and fluctuate to the facility, eventually moving on and making more units. I mean, that's how you make money. That's how we're always going to make money. You make more per square footage on a unit than parking a $45, $50 RV outside. It looks better that way as well, and we know that. That's why we want to hide the other stuff, but the island being the island that it is, there are plenty of people who need still boat and RV storage, and we're not looking to take that away. We're looking to just bring our flair and our knack for making things look good. That's what I care about personally. These are plans that I put my heart and soul into, and I do every time because it is something that I know I'm going to pass down to my kids. This isn't a company that, you know, my uncle got me invested in and I'm invested in to be able to, you know, make $1 off of and turn it over to the next person we sell. This is here for my two little daughters, my 5 and 2-year-old, to take when they grow up and they take over for me. And then we get more and involve more people in the family, and that's how we always want to run it, and that's how we try to run it as it is. You know, we like tight-knit communities like this because you make a business based off of word of mouth. You know, you're going to go store somewhere because you like the friendly attitude that we have. So some of the facilities we have, you know, across the street, you'll see other storage facilities, and we don't mind that because most of them across the street don't have me. They don't have a personality to them. They have a kiosk that you go up to, and you go type your little code in, and then you never see the person inside. What Linda did being in that office and the flair that she has put in that office and the people who trust her, we're going to only make that better. We're here to continue that on and have that name. I'm going to keep the name. I have no intentions of changing it. It's a good name. It is already known in the community, and we're going to make it be more well-known in the community. Just update it. I mean, that's the name of the game. So, any questions based off of anything? I can show you.
Don, if you want to go ahead with your presentation.
Yeah. So this first one is just a picture of Midway and Grow Road. So we took the landscaping plan that Mike showed me that you guys had either approved or got some form of, you know, people, landscapers, to come out and look at, and we try to incorporate that in there. So then on the other side of Midway and Grow, there's the same concept is going to be over there. You know, we're open to suggestions for any of it. Specifically landscaping, you know, he said, you know, about deer resistant stuff because you guys have a very major deer problem here, and you know we took that into consideration when we were putting all the different kinds of trees or plants throughout this entire plan, because we want it to look good for us, but it makes you guys look good if we do. It's right there. It's the focal point when you go and you turn right down here to come here. It's what you're going to be looking at is that corner, is our lighthouse that we're going to try to incorporate in the office and make it stand out. You know, we want you to drive down that road and it look good on both sides. One sec, sorry.
Click on it again. Hit
Yeah,
preview.
preview. You know, I want it to look good down the whole road. I don't want it to look good just from, you know, your guys' perspective. Sorry. So you can kind of see in the corner, back left, how we're going to have the lighthouse stand out there at the office, and plan on putting all of these units all around Midway and all down Grow. And this is all going to be potential for RV right now. I mean, we're going to be putting $4 or $5 million into the facility, so I can't build all the units at once. There's just no possible way for that to happen. So this will be RV and boat parking, and everything is going to be paved aisle-wise. And then we're hoping that we can get it to put pressed crushed gravel on the actual spots where we would be putting the units in the RVs, specifically because we hope to one day make those actual buildings. So if we put blacktop down, I'm just going to have to change it eventually. So this is a little bit closer view of what we want to stand out with the lighthouse, and this is the office right here. This is the front gate, and you know, landscaping for the main entrance that we're trying to line up with the road over there, you know, so it'll go right across. We like to regularly, as you can see from some of the
Wait a minute,
pictures.
excuse
Yeah,
me,
no,
I'm kind of lost where we're at.
sure.
So you say you want it to line up with,
There
road.
is, you know, in the front building right here. I'm sorry, I don't know all of the
The
names,
sec-
but the front building, there's a little circle entrance. It's just lining up with that. It's not lining up with this road right here, obviously, because this is Midway.
this
second
isn't Midway,
entrance.
this isn't Midway here.
No.
No.
It's
no.
farther down Grove.
Yep.
It's like the second entrance from,
So here's a better overhead one. Sorry. So Midway would be on that right hand side. So this is as he said, the second
So
entrance.
it's just
for-
lining up with the parking lot or?
Yeah. We just try to make it uniform. That was really it. Sorry. And you can see
I
in
do
the
have one more
background of
question though.
yeah.
I'm gonna have a lot more questions.
You can ask me everything.
Just one now.
I
Is this phase one? Is this what you wanna do
So-
like
so
now
phase-
or what?
Well, most of it is going to be what we want to do now. I put it on here because of phase one. There's buildings on the left-hand side that is kind of tanned out. That would be part of a phase two. But most of this is everything. Yeah, we have full intention of building phase one. It might take us a year or two to do so. It's a lot of construction happening. It all depends on the ground as well. You know, who knows how much stuff we got to haul out of there. But this is our intention of phase one. Yeah.
So, the Perry storage facility isn't on here, right?
Yes.
No.
it is,
It's in the back.
It is.
the tan
It's
in the bag.
The tan and the blue is the RV parking that they currently have. So it is in the very back corner.
Okay, so there's actually another road that goes east and west from.
There are
your-
two roads that go east and west. One is the end of the Perry's facility, and then
Right.
one is
It
separating both of these
separates-
parcels.
And
Yeah,
those
they're
are
both
out. Those
rough-
roads are.
correct. We would keep the one on the as I guess that would be
West
west
side,
side,
yep.
West side.
and because that more or less is a border or property line.
Just as a note, I mean, both the roads that he's proposing to remove as part of this plan are in disrepair. They did not get
Right,
repaved when.
but they're there. So,
Right, they are currently there.
right, so on phase one, while you're taking a year and a half.
Yeah.
So you're not moving in, you're not doing any storage of anything until you have phase one completed?
It generally, we still do, if it's phase one, we're still gonna do it in phases of phase one. Office is gonna be the first thing we're gonna do. You know, we want the monument there, we want it to, you know, stand out there from the front. And the ones specifically on the road, so these ones on the road would be the other part of phase one, kind of blocking off that road from all the construction that's gonna happen behind it. So we would most likely be trying to move people into those, you know, as we work.
And what about when you say construction behind, are you talking about outside storage behind it as well?
Well, there's this building right here, this taller one, is a separate building from these ones up here. So this would be a climate control building right here, as well as this one right here is climate control. So that's what I mean. These are separated from the ones that are actually on the frontage of Grow Road, to where you would be able to park in these and use stuff to store these from the backside of them. And we would try to utilize those as we're kind of building the bigger climate control units behind
And the
that.
big gray area there,
Sure. This
what
big gray area?
see happening there during those initial?
It would all be land prepped to start with, so most of that, we could actually probably, depending on where the construction's happening, utilize as RV and boating storage,
So
in the
you would
meantime.
store things and
Correct,
through that?
correct. But we know how it looks, if it's not blocked off to start with, so we're not gonna try to do that until we at least kind of try to block it from the road. And that's how we made the plan too, as minimal is seeing behind the front of the road as possible, because sometimes just boats and RVs and cars, it doesn't look as pretty.
I
mean,
kind of looked
that's
at
the
it as
main
like
thing.
the phase 1 of phase 1, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
build. We're basically gonna. The goal is to beef up the two frontages of Midway and Grow, and we're gonna start by doing, the smaller buildings right along those intersections, and then if you want to start doing indoor yard storage, it'll be semi-hidden, and then the bigger buildings go up, and that's part of the other, the bigger
100%.
phase 1.
We can put those, the buildings up on the road that are non-climate control fairly fast. I can put it up in 2 months for one of those buildings. And that's, ordering everything and getting all the land prep as well. But I need to do that first to block everything else off.
But that's not really the only area of concern about blocking things off, right? It's all along the,
Midway as well. Correct. And so that would be the next step, is those two big RV buildings on the east side down Midway,
say
as well.
next step, phase 2?
Step 2 of phase 1. It's all going to be at the same time, but I can't build 7 buildings at exactly the same time. We're going to be building a building at a time, or 2 buildings at a time.
But you could store a whole bunch of stuff at any time in the middle of that area.
As I could, I'm not gonna try to utilize a lot of the stuff, right next to it, because it's just gonna make it harder on our construction team. That's the main thing, and I want it to be built as fast as possible. I'm not gonna try to inconvenience all of the team that we use for every site everywhere.
I would assume
That's-
there's a lot of staging going around.
Yeah.
There in there.
Yeah,
in that lot, too.
and we'll have, it's steel. There's a ton of steel and a ton of masonry block, that we'll have to store there as well on the site somewhere. But I mean, we do have a working facility in the meantime that the Perrys have, so it's not like we have to start from scratch with that part. So out of their facility, and we can use that as the main office for a decent period of time while we're building all of that until almost all the construction is done.
And I think it's fair for everybody to get their concerns out, right?
Oh yeah, ask me every question. I
Oh, well,
I love questions.
I'll ask questions, I'm just gonna give you my concern.
Sure.
That you take this over, you take over Perry's, you have everything from them all the way to Grow Road, you
Correct.
stick up a couple buildings, look like a wall on Grow.
Okay.
And you have the entire facility back
Yeah.
of vacant land to just store stuff on.
I mean, yes, it would be a vacant land to store stuff on. It will look nice. It will be drive aisle blacktopped, and then the other stuff will have parking blocks in between it. As not just a cluster as I witness down the road when I'm driving down here looking. It's gonna look as pretty as it possibly can. So even if you do see it, it's not gonna stick out
Oh, you're gonna
completely
see
like
it.
a sore
I mean,
thumb.
not if you're gonna see it, you will see it.
When you go drive into the facility, yeah.
No, from the outside.
I think you're
I
misinterpreting.
think after phase 2 or phase 3, you may be able to see it.
Sure.
But just starting it out, taking it over, starting to store stuff in that big gray area and do some construction of steel and put your office on Grow
Yeah,
without anything along Midway except construction material or whatever that happens,
sure.
you'll see boats and stuff and all
you
the
can
things.
see that currently.
You'll,
If you go out there right now, it exists. I can see boats and RVs from Grow Road as we speak, and
nothing in those fields right now.
No, not in the
It's not
fields,
Perry's.
but the Perry's pre-existing thing, all of that you can see from there. The entire their entire facility is seen.
And there's
So-
a reason that it's way back there.
Correct.
It's
And-
because that's where we wanted that kind of storage.
And this is why I'm here to hopefully get all of your guys' concerns so we can make that not be a problem in the future. You know, we want to make money. We're coming here to make money, but I'm coming here to make a community better and make our business better. And if it looks like crap, if I have stuff there that makes it look bad when we're under construction, who's going to want to come there and store there after we're done with construction? Nobody. They want it to look as beautiful as possible because they want to think that their stuff is going to be safe when it's there, and that's what I'm trying to do. So all of the boats and RVs that we would be putting there would be in that back left-hand corner, you know, kind of butted up to where it currently exists. And I don't plan on putting any of that stuff there until you can't see it. So even if phase one is only, you know, the stuff along Grow Road, you're not going to be able to see that other stuff until I'm done with phase one, and I'm not going to put those boats there until I'm done with phase one. I'm not that greedy to where I need to just start storing 200, 300 boats and RVs
Oh,
when
but
people
you
need
said, and I respect it, you want to make money.
it. Correct.
That means you're going to store stuff if you can.
Now,
That's how you make money.
Correct.
And you don't
we
build
have
phase
full
two
intention-
unless you financially justify it.
I understand.
So,
However, the main thing that you don't know is that we want to make money, but I don't need the money. So we're here because I want to make my family financially sound for my grandkids and their grandkids. So right now we don't need that money. If it takes me a year to be able to actually make profit off of it and store more things, then I'm going to be okay with that because I'm here for the long run with you guys. You know, I'm not going to come here to upset everybody and make the balance of you know, the facility, you know, be a pain in the butt, for lack of a better term, if I don't have to, because there's no reason for me to have to.
Brandon, I'll ask you one question. I guess and I know you and I have discussed this. I mean, if we gave you clean slate, environmentally ready to go lot.
Yeah.
Here's your two parcels. What is the time frame on all the buildings in this picture? I think it was about a year when we were talking.
Okay. So full intention, if we were to start in the summer, let's just
Absolutely.
assume
I mean,
the summer.
Clean slate. Here's your fields. Ideal construction season.
2 years. It's gonna probably take me a year and a half to 2 years to be able to get it to a position that we want. I don't see it happening any sooner. Steel takes a while to actually order. It's, you know, four plus months for me to order it in the first place. So, but all the prep, all the groundwork, all that back stuff, you know, everything, that's gonna happen first. You know, I'm gonna try to get all of that out of the way before I start building anything. You know, that's gonna be the hardest part.
how many acres is all of that, Mike?
Roughly 8. Sorry,
Yeah.
How many?
roughly 8. A little bit under.
Is that with Perry's?
No, theirs is
No,
2.5-ish.
The-
That's so.
Yeah.
The other parcel is not
So
with it.
On a
over
square
10
footage
acres.
on a square footage basis, the Perry's existing lease, you'll see in the action item, is 113,262 square feet. The additional parcels for the new land lease we're talking about is 394,000 approximately. We need to get a survey done on that. That's why it's an approximate value, but that's me using a tool I use on Google Maps to get a square footage measurement. So I mean, that's, you know, we're talking rough numbers.
Brandon, are you done with your presentation, or do you still have other things?
There's some other angles
Oh.
and stuff you want to walk through them.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really all depends. I printed off a whole bunch of stuff, but it's more stuff for you guys to look at on your own time, and it's the inner workings of all of the buildings. So the unit breakdown of everything.
The commission should have received, I think I sent that email out
Yeah,
about a week
yeah,
and a half
so-
ago. Yep.
We did. Do you have any other color renderings you want to show?
Wait, you can walk
Yeah,
through the rest
they're
of the
all.
renderings.
What'd you say?
You can walk through the rest of the renderings if you want.
Yeah, they're all close to same concept, just different angles. You know, so this is the angle where that building in the middle here is going to be a climate control building. So that's going to be one of the things we do after. That's our main concern, is being able to see into the back of the lot there, because while that is phase one, it's going to be probably the last portion of phase one. So this is from midway, an angle in where we're going to have that fenced in. and that's where what you were talking about, how you're going to be able to see the boats and RVs. That's my main concern, that portion of it, that we're going to have to do something to block that, so you don't, if we do start storing stuff there, you know, a year in. So just bringing up what you had mentioned.
Mike had something.
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
And then you're showing that black picket fence, like, that's across the street over here.
Like a aluminum metal.
Aluminum metal?
Yeah.
Plan on using that.
Yeah, that is what we normally use. It looks the nicest.
With your other buildings.
Yeah. It'd probably be a similar spec to what we have currently around 61, 62 that goes along Meridian and Grow.
Yeah, and that was what we tried to do with the trees as well. You know, we have what trees are already out there in the middle of Meridian and what they're going to utilize next to it, and we plan to try to make those as, you know, nice and I guess tie in as best as possible. You know, right here behind these trees, these are all silhouettes that we generally put in. Some of the pictures you guys have in front of you, it shows them. So it's a limestone material that we put in there, and we can make those pictures anything. And we are open to suggestions on that too. You know, I can tie in the city, and that's what we normally do. You know, in Howell, for example, they have a balloon festival all the time every year. So we put a bunch of balloons in there to kind of tie that in with there. You know, Pinckney, which is where the name originated from, Pirates Cove. It's the Pinckney Pirates is their high school, and Riverview Pirates as well, which is why we utilize that name over there. So we like to kind of go with the themes of the cities because it makes the people coming in there, you know, feel a part of it as much as we want to be a part of it. I grew up downriver. I'm from here. I lived in Rockwood in Brownstown. I went to Carlson High School. This is my area. This is where I'm from, and this is why I'm here and wanted to buy this facility and lease this land, is because I know this area. I know these people. I know how good they are, and I want to be a part of that.
Okay, I will open it up to any comments or questions from the commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hornby.
I think at this time, given my relationship to the buyers and sellers, I should let everybody know I'll be abstaining from our vote tonight.
Okay, appreciate the comments. Anything else from anybody?
What do we need to vote on here? Oh, we have a resolution that needs to be changed a little bit, but.
Yep.
Sure. Let me bring something up, I guess, first. So we're hoping that you guys can approve our purchase, more or less, of the Perry's existing property. And so we have a purchase agreement in place that we feel comfortable will get done within the week. Yeah, it's that close. Both of our attorneys have talked. We have talked. We have a good relationship that we think that there's nothing holding us back from it getting done rather immediately. The lease agreement for this additional 8 acres is what we need in place to feel comfortable to purchase their facility, because their facility alone isn't going to generate enough revenue for us to want to just purchase it and not have additional land where we can actually build more facilities on. So we're hoping to get a 30-year lease for this additional 8 acres with a 10-year option for us at what we had discussed before was 18 cent
Correct.
Per square foot. So that's what we're hoping. And it's not that we need you guys to approve anything at this point, but I want to feel comfortable going into that purchase agreement that we are going to get this lease. That's it. You know, I can't sign a purchase agreement with them if I don't feel comfortable that we're going to be able to actually get the 30-year plus lease.
So I'll tell you, I'll start out and then they can go. I'm okay with a 30-year lease.
Yeah.
I was okay with the extension
Sure, for them.
with AD.
Correct.
I'm okay with another 10-year extension after that.
Sure.
I'd be okay with a 100-year lease.
We would too.
I don't want your building.
Okay.
I just
What-
want to make sure we have revenue coming in,
Correct.
sustainable revenue,
Yep.
okay?
That makes perfect sense.
I trust Mike Duker. We have at a commission level some understanding of rates. We look at them.
Sure.
We basically cents up here, well, he needs to charge more, and we yell at him, he goes. But Mike does a really good job of understanding what the market is. So if Mike said this is the market for a land lease,
Sure.
I would say, okay. I'm even okay of expanding storage, and I was one of the ones that put their lease together 75 years ago, however long it was, and pushed it way back there. I'm okay with even taking the storage and moving it forward and on my coveted ground midway.
Okay.
However, I'm not in favor of the diagrams that I've seen,
Okay.
and I'm not in favor of your phase 1 and phase 1A and phase 1B,
Sure.
and giving you the opportunity to store a bunch of stuff in that big gray area,
Okay.
and maybe build phase 2, maybe build phase 1B, because you said it, you need to make money, and you're only gonna invest more if it makes financial sense. I want you to only invest more if it makes financial sense, because you're gonna have a 30-year lease.
Correct.
I've spent 25 years, if not longer, getting rid of storage on this airport and the blight that people just come in here and just throw stuff. And that area that you're talking about had a bunch of it, and it took many, many, many years to get rid of it. Mike knows this. So I am deathly afraid of you coming in here, getting this land, building your front rows, which is right on the front street. You get all the frontage and you fill that stuff up, and you move Mike's storage units up basically right in the middle of where everyone is. But you can't justify doing any more. And then you come back and say, well, we just need to store more boats, we need to store more stuff, and then all that outside area is just storage. What do we have to prevent that?
That's that lease. The lease is
Is it
what
gonna
you-
guarantee a minimum investment of all your phases and all your buildings?
we can make it guarantee that. Correct.
And if we do that, and you don't do it, and we immediately bounce you out and take all the buildings and investments that you have, okay, then I'd be okay. But I am not going to let anybody come in here on a whim of maybe it may work, but then you have a 30-year lease with a bunch of vacant land there that is green space now.
Okay.
And actually, we park for Island Fest, and we do use it, okay? It's full of boats and storage and things, and you know, Pirates Cove says, well, you know, we're just doing what we can do to make money. You know, we just can't afford to do any more. We need to address, I'm just one guy, man. You don't have to worry about what I say. That's just one guy, okay? But I wanted you to know my concerns so that you can start addressing them if you wanted to do
Correct.
it.
And that's why I'm here. I need to know everybody's concerned because I want to address them. You know, you're not going to lease that land to us unless I prove to you that we know what we're doing. That's partially what those pictures are.
I
but-
know you know what you're doing.
Okay.
I know what there's a whole bunch of people that know what they're doing that came down here and stuck it to the airport, okay? I mean, I need to know that you are going to build everything that you say you're going to build.
Sure.
And that this place isn't gonna look like a dumping ground of boats and RVs and everything in the middle of our
yes, in the,
that's
in the
prime
middle
spot,
of your-
man. You ain't getting the back 40 here, okay?
Okay.
Mike, what does the current lease with Island Stowaway say about the transfer of the lease to someone else?
It just says that it needs the commission's approval. It's basically the basic verbiage. The lease transfer needs approval.
Okay.
So if, Mr. Chair, if I may make maybe a quick suggestion, what makes the most sense to me here, I mean, the lease isn't ready, obviously. We're trying to give Brandon some reassurances, and I was waiting for some stuff from the attorney. So what you got in your packet was basically the red line from the two attorneys. There's some paragraphs in there I was going to go over and stuff, but I think, in my mind, and you guys can definitely tell me what you think of this, I think the right thing to do is come up with an action item that approves the transfer of the existing land lease at 9801 Intrepid, that's Island Stowaway, the lease that's in the storage complex on our building 70. There's a small interior storage complex that's included with Island Stowaway, and then the approval, whether it's we want to call it exclusivity or a memorandum of understanding at the term and rates pending, you know, timeframes on the construction and build out and guarantees, and like a phase 1 investigation, or however we want to word that. I think that would, Brandon, tell me, I mean, I think a setup like that could probably give you what you're looking for.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there any reason why we need to extend the current lease for Island Stowaway instead of just giving him a new lease for 30 years on that property and the new property that he wants?
Correct. That's what we talked about doing. The initial negotiation was they were looking for a 30-year on top of the existing lease. The existing lease has about 8 years left on it. What I expressed to Brandon is I said, I think it's going to be easier. Let's just do a clean slate. Let's do 30 years with a 10-year option on all the leases. That's what made the most sense to me, and I think he was in favor of that. There was some communication between the attorneys that I don't think was in either of our heads, and we kind of clarified that. So the 30-year initial with the 10-year option is what both of us are looking to do. And you guys have seen it in the past too. I mean, we've extended the Perry's lease several times. I mean, we're not necessarily in the business of operating a storage facility, so that kind of gives him some reassurance long term on what we're looking to do.
The main concern with the current lease is that it's actually set up, so there's 2 leases, one for the climate control building that exists down here, and then one for the land lease of the property that they're utilizing. It's actually set up to where it all is phrased as if it is a climate control building, or a building that is being leased. So it makes it feel as if you guys could come in and change any form of the buildings that you ever wanted, any of the drive aisles that you ever wanted. We aren't allowed to upgrade any of the facility without actually coming in here and asking for permission to upgrade the facility. That's the problem with the current lease in place, is it was just a uniform lease that was given out at both of them. So.
Van Oz.
I think that we'd all like to see a development take place here. From my standpoint, it's been 35 years. I've been looking at green space, and it is what it is. And I would have no trouble or no issues with signing an extended lease and assisting you in moving forward with your plan, as long as you understand that any development going forward on that property is going to have to come in front of this board.
Yeah, I full on understand that.
And that could get into a real contest. You've
Correct.
met Mr. Rathel. And that could get into
like
a real
opinions.
contest. Now,
Yeah.
he says he's one man, I'm one man. We're all
sure.
individuals. We got one person that's going to abstain because of his activity in the business,
course.
which is fine. But if you're willing to enter this understanding that any development that you're going to do or you want to do,
100%.
further development, is going to have to come for this board for approval.
Correct.
So basically, all we're approving is that you now have the right to utilize
to
that
come and be
land
approved.
as long as we're happy with it.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can get in a lot of trouble here.
I mean, that's perfectly said, Ted. I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm willing to do that,
Okay.
okay? And I just want you, and the reason I said what I said is I want you to realize that with Ted is gonna be a big part of it. We could very easily do that. I'm in favor of it. If you wanna change the lease that we had with Mike to a little verbiage that makes it more flexible for you, I'm okay with that. You wanna have a 30-year with a 10-year, I'm fine with that. Conceptually, I'm fine with all that. But you have to realize that I think you're just standard, throw up some buildings and put some limestone boats, you
sure.
know.
You're not okay with that, and I understand
Well,
that. You don't have to be
I don't
okay
hear
with
that, John. I know I'm with your concern, because we've all been fighting this property as to what are we gonna do with it. And for the last 35 years, we finally got an idea. It only took 35 years to get there.
Took my lifetime. Yeah.
But you have to understand that requirement, I mean, this is hallowed ground
Yes.
for a lot of people. I mean,
I
they
understand that.
believe more of this thing. And the last thing we want to do, because of its location, and because of its influence in the township, is do anything to upset the residents. Because if we do that, this no longer becomes hallowed ground.
Right.
I mean, this becomes a chopping block. And we don't want to do anything that allows it to get there. We entered an agreement with the Perrys. They've done a wonderful job. They've established a great business here. Ultimate cooperation with the township, and we're all very happy with it. But as long as you're comfortable with that, I'm comfortable in moving forward.
I 100% am comfortable with that. We would never build a building or anything, put anything on there without the approval beforehand. I mean, that's what the lease agreement is going to say as well.
Yeah,
you know.
I don't think you can. I just want to make sure you understand.
Yeah.
Not even if I
yeah,
sneak one in there.
We know you can't.
Yeah.
He's just saying, are you willing to go through that gauntlet?
I 100% am willing to go through that
And,
gauntlet.
and our chairman hasn't even talked about his landscaping plan for the whole complex yet, so.
That's I just want the opportunity to be able to go through that gauntlet. Like that's what I'm here in front of you guys today to do. I want you to understand, because you don't know me, you don't know our company, and I want you to understand that we aren't going to do anything to hurt this township. We aren't going to do anything to hurt that land. We're going to make it better, and we are going to do everything in our power to take everything you guys tell me as your recommendations and try to utilize that there. So your concern of me just dumping a bunch of stuff back there while we're under construction, I hear that, and I will make sure that doesn't happen. I promise you that. I can do that. I'm the one in charge of making these buildings go up there, and you will know that after we're done. Unfortunately, you can't know that before. That's why I put the pictures in front of you so you can see the work we do, and we've done all of that work plus an innumerable amount more that is under construction currently at 4 of our facilities. We've done all of that work within a 10-year span. And it's one place to the next place to the next place. Some of them we bought with, 200 units there and we did up. Some of them we started from scratch. It's whatever the city specifically needs. I mean, and it looks like here, and from talking to the Perrys, they need more storage, and we're willing to do that, and we're willing to make it look as good as we possibly can in doing so. And we don't want to just throw a public storage up there. That's not my plan. I'm not a chain person. We want everything to be a part of the city, and we want it to look like it is when you go there and you walk by, and you're gonna say, "Oh, look at that lighthouse. Oh, look at those people inside of there. They're great. They're gonna recommend us to everybody else." That's what I want to do when I build this facility.
Any other comments? Well, I think we've come a long way from the sale of Island Stowaway to leasing another 8 acres. Brandon, I think you've done a good job with this plan as it relates to the outside storage being screened from both of the major roads.
Yeah.
I do share some of the concerns of Mr. Athel, Mr. Van Oz, that outside storage would need to be screened before, or we would want to somehow restrict it while you're doing
During
your phases
construction.
1 and your phase 2
100%.
to maybe the northwest part of the property. Or I mean, I think we can work out some kind of agreement that
Agreed.
if you wanted to do outside storage before your 2 phases are done, we could find a right place to do that.
Sure.
And restrict it to, maybe a certain percentage of the property or something like that. I don't think you have any objection here from any of the board that we're not willing to move forward. I think we can all get together and work out the plan. As Mr. Athel indicated, I do have some ideas of the landscaping
Okay.
that I'd like to see along grow, but we can
Yeah.
talk about that at future
I'm all
dates.
ears.
I do have, Ron, I do have one other thing which I wasn't aware of, and that's heated
Yeah.
storage.
Correct. So
So, just a comment to the commission here. We have our own indoor heated storage, right? And
These
I'm
are
just-
small units.
Yeah.
They're like
So they're not
indoor
RV.
unit. No, not.
These are still, okay.
These are only the smaller 10 by 10, 10 by
Okay.
15.
Sure, and
Alright.
Brandon, Brandon and I have had that conversation. I mean, one of my initial concerns is how does a new business like this compete with our existing? You know, we've talked about that. We try not to make a competitive market here with that. We try to make sure everything jives and we don't have too much in anything. You know, the two concerns and talking to the tenants, I don't think are too big of a problem. The one is looking at an RV storage kind of complex. We currently do indoor heated storage. Our existing warehouse we moved into can only accommodate about 6 RVs. The RV parking Brandon's proposing are non-heated, electrical outlets, but they're covered. Not direct competition. That one's probably one of the closest comparisons I could draw. Talking to the existing tenant, you know, they thought they might lose 1 or 2 RVs, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker for them. They could pick up more business on boats, cars, whatever else, the indoor heated storage. The only other one I had from looking at his plan on our facility here was there's some larger units at maybe 500 or about 500, 600 square foot
Sure.
units. I
Yeah.
looked at those. Okay, do they compete with our garages that we're currently building out in 63? Not really. I mean, it has a garage door on it. It's got a single outlet. It's not heated. Nobody's going to be doing, you know, shop like big storage operations in a 500 square foot. You might get some business overflow, but that to me is not competition to us and our build out of building 63. And I think Brandon gets that. I mean, from my conversations with him, he's been, you know, pretty good at taking an inventory of what's currently on the field, what needs, you know, what the market is, where the demand is, and i.e. not competing with the landlord. So, I mean, I think he's got the message on that, and the existing plan that he's proposing, you know, there's some crossover, but not direct competition.
These buildings on this,
Entice them into buying another building.
Hey,
So,
that's actually a pretty good idea. Sorry, we're having our own meeting.
so I think you got the general sort of opinion of the board here
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
are willing to move forward. We just need to work out some of the details, and I don't think we're ready to approve any kind of a lease tonight because the verbiage just isn't correct, I don't
Correct.
think. So whenever that gets worked out, our next regular meeting is the 3rd Monday of January, but if you need to do something sooner than that, we can call for a special meeting.
Okay.
If that
No, I
works in your
really,
schedule.
I really wanted to come here and make sure that I feel comfortable working with you guys. Is the main thing, so that I can get us in a situation to move them along. You know, I don't want them to be held up by our personal lease that we're trying to get with the other land. That's the main thing, and that's what I've been doing up until this point, because I needed this confirmation or some form of confirmation that I think we can have a good working relationship going forward. So
Other than Mr. Raithel, I think the rest of us are pretty easy to work with. So.
he's
Oh, jeez. But I can't, I tell you, I can't overestimate how monumental it is that you got this far and look like you're gonna get this vote to put storage up there. And I can't even believe I'm gonna vote for it, but
if,
Ted Van Oss is correct. It's been 35 years. We gotta do something with
Yeah,
that land,
yeah.
man. It's like, you know, I don't think Amazon's gonna come, you know, and put up something. And if they
up a
did, we probably
nice
don't
place
want it
by
anyway.
my house, that's for sure.
So,
So if you look at this one, this is our facility in Pinckney. All the lighter color buildings we put up ourselves. So everything on the right-hand side was there pre-existing when we bought it. And then everything on the left-hand side was stuff that we built in a 2.5-year span. So the actual units on the far left are the RV style unit that we would be putting up on Midway. The thing in here is the retention pond in the middle that we aren't proposing in this plan because we're hoping that we can utilize the pre-existing pond that the Perrys have and kind of go down the backside there. We have to figure out how big it needs to be and see if that land can hold it. But that is potentially something that we might have to put in those RV spots as well in the middle over here, kind of blocking that off as well. But we have RV storage here. You can't see it. It's on the right-hand side. It's behind a Bush's a Bush's grocery store, but we try to put it as far back from the main road as possible. And that's the same thing here, you know. And this is what we'd like to utilize RV storage for is, you know, 50 things. You know, it just doesn't make the same money as everything else. I don't want to put everything there And I want buildings there, they look cleaner. I like the way that the facilities look when they're cleaner, so.
Yeah, we looked, my wife and I did some traveling on the weekend. We looked at 3 of their facilities.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. You guys are welcome to come anytime to any of
I
them.
think I rent 3 of them from you, so it's gonna be nice to be able to, actually, like, keep my stuff on Grosse Ile, because Mike's always full, I can't get in there.
That was part of the selling point.
So,
Yeah.
have we checked with any, this is zoned A1, right?
Correct.
And
Existing,
did we,
existing use.
so we didn't have to change any zoning ordinances when we did the storage? Okay.
Nope, no, it fits in the existing, it's an existing use, we're just expanding that use. It will obviously have to go in front of planning commission and go that route.
Actually, I'm on the planning commission too, so.
I'm sure when we get to that stage,
You're lucky, Dave.
we would probably set up some kind of a joint meeting between the 2 commissions and Brandon and.
Don't worry, Mike. I'm actually in favor of it, as long as he
Can't believe you
landscapes
gave
it and,
Uh,
Oh, yeah, well, that's another story. Yeah, right.
I'm open to suggestions with trees,
Well,
that's for sure.
Okay.
So I really like the lighthouse, it's nice, however, it doesn't fit into, the airport, so if you could go get a Corsair and put a Corsair
Yeah.
up there on the corner.
Hey, I can put one of those in the limestone, yeah, you're fine.
And we got the plans, you can build another hangar.
Yeah. We had actually discussed that. I'm like, well, what if I put a mini hangar here and we put a light on the road and try to just have them go right across the road. And we're open to suggestions with all of it. I mean, you guys would know more what people want here than we do, and that's why I'm here to try
Guarantee
to
you, you'll
take.
be hearing that.
What?
So you'll be hearing that.
Is there any comments from the public? Anyone in the audience want to make a comment? Okay, Brandon, I think you got direction from us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you probably at the January meeting.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you,
Brandon,
guys.
it's nice to
It's
meet you. Yep.
Thank you.
Good job, yep.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is item number 7B, which is Dave's Hot Rod Garage Lease Renewal. We have a resolution in front of us that reads, based upon the recommendation from the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Manager, the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves a lease between Dave's Hot Rod Garage and the Grosse Ile Municipal Airport. A formal lease will be developed pending approval by the commission. Terms of the proposed lease agreement are listed in the history, purpose, and explanation section of the lease. This is a lease for building 75 Unit A for 1 year with no options for $3.48 a square foot, which equals $17,415 a year.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Van Oz. Support by Mr. Mans. Any discussion?
Just have a question, why is it only a year, Mike?
So what the tenant indicated, he did a longer-term lease. We made him do a longer-term lease because, if you remember, this building was a 10,000 square foot facility. We put a block wall down the middle. The 2 tenants that moved in finished the facilities. So he was looking for a longer term lease to obviously make sure he was able to enjoy those improvements he did. So office space, repainted all the ceilings, put 2 bathrooms in. He indicated a 1-year lease initially, and then mentioned he would like to meet with me to look at additional space. I don't know if that's one of our new units or another building we have. I have not discussed that with him yet, so I have the feeling that the 1-year lease might be just a keep the lease going and let's talk about more space. So I'll meet with the tenant and should know more soon.
All right, good.
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 7 is the USFW lease extension. We have a resolution in front of us that reads, based upon the recommendation from the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Manager, the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby extends the lease with supplemental agreement 0001 between the United States Fish and Wildlife Department and the Grosse Ile Municipal Airport. A formal GSA lease extension is attached. Terms of the proposed lease agreement are listed in the history, purpose, and explanation section of the resolution. This is a lease extension for 3 months until April 30th of 2020. We are on a month Rental rate of $6,750, which equates to $15 a square foot.
Moved.
Motion by Mr. Van Oz,
Or,
support by Mr. Rathel. Any discussion? Mike, so they want to be in for another 3 months, and then it could go month to month by then
Correct.
after that?
The initial agreement expired in was that in December, but then it had a 90-day notice to quit. We got them in a hurry, and it was a short-term lease, so that was something I negotiated on the back end. If they needed more time, give us 3 months to, make sure we can winterize the building or do whatever else we're going to do with it. They came to me last week and asked for an extension for 2 months. I said either take the extension for 2 months and the 90-day notice continues, or because they wanted a 30-day notice after that, or take 3 months and we'll go down to a 30-day notice. They chose the 3 months and a 30-day notice. So just kind of how it negotiated out. But their facility is complete. I think they're kind of doing some finishing interior touches and environmental stuff that they need to get done over there. So they've indicated that's when they're looking at moving out of our facility into the completed facility over there in, is it Trenton or Gibraltar?
Okay.
I understand they got some new issues over at that other building again.
So it's entirely possible this could go longer. I mean, that facility's been under construction for, well, I think we're going on year 2 or 3 now. So it may, the 30-day notice, at that point, I'll probably try to revisit another extension with them or just let them roll month to month. We'll see what works best. It's a good rate for, a GSA federal contract, and I'm happy to have somebody in the office space.
Okay, we have a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 8 is subcommittee reports. We have none tonight. Item number 9 is discussion items. Anyone have any discussion items? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 10, which is the chairman's report. I have no report for tonight. Public comment. Anyone in the public want to make a comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to motion to adjourn.
Mr.
Motion by
Chairman,
Mr. Mann, supported by Mr. Van Oz to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Oh, sorry.
just a second. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And again, thank you guys for the reason the system of the township works so well as it does. People like you that care. So thanks for your service this year, and we'll look forward to next year.
thank you, Ted.
Van Oz? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.